now to the war in Ukraine, because while we've been on air, we have heard that Russia has accused Ukraine of launching 2 drone attacks on the Kremlin in Moscow overnight. Russian officials have called it an attempt on President Putin's life, and they've described it as a terrorist act. Let's get the latest on that from our Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg, who's live in Moscow for us this lunchtime. Steve, what more can you tell us?
Well, just a few minutes ago, the Kremlin press service issued this, pretty dramatic statement claiming that overnight there had been this Ukrainian drone attack on the residence of the Russian president in the Kremlin. Vladimir Putin is not believed to have been there at the time. His work schedule continues as normal. So I'm just reading from the statement right now. It says that there were 2 drones that tried to attack the Kremlin. They were intercepted by the Russian military and special services and put out of action. As you mentioned, Moscow says that this was a terrorist attack and sees it as an assassination attempt on the life of the Russian president, and reserves the right to respond where and when the authorities consider necessary. That's the latest from Moscow.
To being assassinated recently by a Ukrainian drone that took down a helicopter at his fleet. He's had very important brass military and other people around him assassinated by Ukrainian special operations. They're all over the place, and the Ukrainians are really good at what they do. And they're getting in there, they're destroying facilities, they're impeding oil flows, they're doing whatever they can. And so this is maybe another reason why Putin isn't going to look for an exit right away, but he'll welcome an exit that gives him some kind of reasonable glory.
Trump has further warned in those comments that if Putin did try to take the rest of Ukraine, it would lead to Russia's downfall. Now, those are just words, but in a way, is he right? And perhaps more importantly, how's Putin going to feel about those comments?
Well, Putin doesn't take any notice of anything anyone says. He wants to recreate the USSR. Ukraine's just the beginning.
Against the Kremlin. Just moments ago in a social media post, he wrote, "What Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia, and I mean really bad. He's playing with fire."
Ukraine's just the beginning. And, that's his intention. But I think that when he talks about ruining Russia, there is only one thing that could really do major damage. And that's something that he did not invoke when he was talking to him on the phone, and that is the fact that Congress has prepared a diabolically draconian set of tariffs against all of Russia's oil customers of 500%. This means China and India. It means everybody. It means Hungary and Serbia, everybody who's, accessory to the enemy. And if those were imposed, that would dry up his oil revenue, and that is how he finances the war. It would also discombobulate all of his allies. And so, he's got it within his reach right now, Trump, without getting involved in military action. He's got it within his reach right now to just give permission to the Senate and the House to proceed with what apparently already has enough votes to proceed, and that is 500% tariffs on anybody who buys Russian oil.
Strong, you'll work hard, you'll stay tough, and you will fight, and win. I want to just congratulate you all. I'm going back now to deal with Russia, to deal with China. What's that all about? That's it. And get you lots of victories. So we're going to keep winning. This country is going to keep winning. And with you, the job is easy. I want to thank you all.
A shocking claim has come to the fore, suggesting that Russian President Vladimir Putin's helicopter came under attack by Ukrainian drones. This as Putin traveled to Russia's border region of Kursk on May 20th in an unannounced visit confirmed by the Kremlin. A top Russian military commander has claimed Ukrainian drones targeted Putin's aircraft mid-flight, as per reports. Yuri Dashkin, head of a Russian air defense unit, reportedly said that Putin's helicopter was at the attack's epicenter, as a large-scale drone assault began as the Russian president flew over Kursk. Russian air defenses reportedly engaged the drones, while the presidential helicopter was still airborne. Notably, it was Putin's first trip to Kursk since Moscow claimed to have pushed back Ukrainian troops last month. During his visit, he met with volunteers, regional officials, and acting governor Alexander Kinstein. His stop in Kursk came weeks after Russia declared the region was liberated from Ukrainian incursions. But Ukraine insisted that its operations continue, despite Russian claims of full control in the border zone. On May 21st, Ukraine's army said its units remain active near Kursk and continue to inflict damage. Earlier this month, Ukrainian troops were said to have breached the Russian border near the village of Tepkino. Meanwhile, U.S. President Trump has warned Putin that trying to take all of Ukraine will lead to Russia's downfall.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
President, what do you want to do about
And I'm
that?
surprised. I'm very surprised. We'll see what we're going to do. What am I going to tell you? You're the fake news, aren't you? You're totally fake. All right, any other questions? I don't like what Putin is doing, not even a little bit. He's killing people. And something happened to this guy, and I don't like it.
Can I follow up on that? A Russian commander reportedly said that Putin was almost caught in the middle of a drone attack from Ukraine. So do you have any...
I haven't heard that, but maybe that would be a reason. I don't know, but I have not heard that.
For all of us here in the West and in America, when I say please don't let dumb jackass globalists in Ukraine drag us all into World War III. We don't want nuclear war with Russia or with China or with Pakistan, India, or with any Arab country. We want peace, and President Trump is probably seconds away from winning the Nobel Peace Prize because he is doing everything in his power to de-escalate conflict across the globe. This was the last time we saw President Trump with Volodymyr Zelensky inside of the Vatican, which is now offered to host peace negotiations with Ukraine and with Russia. This is a spectacular thing to see. President Trump saying that Russia has agreed to a ceasefire with Ukraine, and the gears are, at the very least, moving towards an end of the war. Moving towards an end of the war. Except they nearly just killed Putin a few seconds ago. This breaking within the last couple of minutes, Putin's helicopter fended off drone attack Russian leader's recent visit to the Kursk region. It's, of course, one of those regions of Ukraine that Russia just conquered. Drew fire from Ukrainian UAVs. It emerges. Okay.
Confusion that we are looking at what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. President Donald Trump issued a statement and also said on a press gaggle before boarding Air Force One that he's not happy with Putin, saying something has gone wrong with Putin, that Putin is launching missiles into cities in the midst of peace negotiations. What's going on here?
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Thank you for having me. A story that somehow became very close to my heart since I was in the Maidan Square during the revolution in the latter days of 2013 and early 2014, and looking, down the pipeline at everything that could have happened there. Talking about the necessity, really, of a war, a hot war, given the EU's expansionism, given NATO's expansionism, and obviously, now we're talking about Vladimir Putin, given his this inability that he finds himself in now to row back from this war. I think we need to go back about 10 days, I think it was, when the vice president was in a gaggle on a plane with reporters, and he said, look, the problem with Putin, the problem Putin has right now is he doesn't actually know how to sell peace. He doesn't actually know how to get out of this amongst his own people. And those are, the people immediately around him, the generals, the oligarchs. But it's also the Russian people. What does he take to the Russian people now and say that he got, that he extracted, that he won from all of this process? And increasingly, as we look at him aging, increasingly as we look at how he is considering this to be perhaps a legacy that he didn't want, a stalemate in Eastern Europe, how does he sell a peace? Now, President Trump has tried, peace for the sake of peace, but now you can see that the tone is shifting, and there are two tacks that he's taking. They're very familiar to people who know President Trump, but obviously it leaves the mainstream media scratching its heads because they never listen to him anyway. So the two tacks are this: what we saw this weekend, which is the volley fire of rhetoric to say, hey, sharpen up. We need you at the table. You need to be at the table. What have you done? Lost your mind? And then the other one is the carrot, right? Which is the economic exposure. Welcome back to the G8. We'll have you at all the conferences. We can move past this. We can invest in Russia and have Russia invest in the Western world again. And that is something that we're seeing now, I guess, in the last 7 days, that has now become the tactic for the Trump administration. It's certainly been a longer and a harder slog towards peace than I think almost everyone had hoped, but we can still see that there are weapons in the arsenal of peace here.
This is my wife, Doctor. She's got a temperature. There's not much I can do for her here. I need some ice.
Sure. There are plenty in the fridge. See the chef in the kitchen.
I'll come back.
I want you to go to the airport straight away.
Doctor, for an African, you are looking very white. You see much more on the operating table every day. Anytime there is a change of power in Africa, a few heads must roll. But why? You will not understand that. This is a Kakwa custom. The pygmies, they do it all the time. Also, sometimes I lecture their spirits about their evil ways. But Dr. Dean, he was about a man. Sometimes I lecture their spirits about their evil ways. But Dr. Dean, he was about a man.
Vladimir Putin was allegedly the target of an assassination attempt by Ukraine. That's the bombshell claim made by a Russian military officer at a time when his country has intensified bombings on Kiev and even prompted Donald Trump to call the Russian president absolutely crazy. Air Defense Unit Commander Yuri Dashkin told Russian news agency RBC that Russia came under a massive drone attack from Ukraine on the 20th of May when Putin was visiting Kursk. Dashkin claimed Putin's helicopter was in the epicenter of a Ukrainian drone strike. He said Russia's air defense systems intercepted the drone and destroyed it before it could reach the president's flight path. Dashkin said, and I quote, "The intensity of the attack significantly increased during the flight of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief's aircraft over the territory of the Kursk region. Therefore, we were simultaneously engaged in an air battle and ensured the safety of the president's helicopter in the airspace." Ukraine is yet to respond to these claims. Putin was indeed in Kursk on May 20th. It was his first visit to the region after driving Ukrainian troops out. No injuries or damage were reported in the incident, and the Russian president's convoy continued without any interruption. But the alleged incident has raised concerns about the capabilities of Ukrainian drones, and Russia is probing whether the strike was an attempted assassination or a broader psychological operation by Kiev. In January 2025, former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson claimed that former President Joe Biden's administration had attempted to assassinate Putin. Carlson made this allegation on his podcast, The Tucker Carlson Show. However, he did not back his claim with any evidence. Back then, the Kremlin had said that the Russian president is well protected from any potential threat. Following Putin's Kursk visit, Russia has been unleashing a wave of deadly airstrikes on Ukrainian cities and towns. Russian forces launched a barrage of 367 drones and missiles at Ukrainian cities overnight, in the largest aerial attack of the war so far, killing at least 12 people and injuring dozens more. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called out the US, which has taken a softer public eye on Russia and Putin since President Donald Trump returned to office. Zelensky said, "The silence of America, the silence of others in the world, only encourages Putin." Russia's deadly campaign comes a week after Donald Trump spoke to Putin and appeared ready to abandon his efforts to secure a ceasefire. He made a rare public rebuke of Putin, calling him absolutely crazy for launching one of the biggest airstrikes on Ukraine since the start of the war. He also warned Moscow that any attempt at a total takeover of Ukraine would lead to the downfall of Russia.
Yeah, I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
In the past, Trump has never shied away from expressing his admiration for Putin. But in recent weeks, the US president has been growing increasingly frustrated with Moscow dragging its feet in truce negotiations with Kiev. Putin has made no commitment to pause his 3-year invasion of Ukraine, announcing only a vague proposal to work on a memorandum outlining Moscow's demands for peace.
In a stunning and precise offensive, Russian forces deployed their feared Tornado multiple launch rocket system to obliterate a secret Ukrainian airfield. This wasn't just another strike, it was a direct hit on a military base reportedly used to launch drone attacks deep into Russian territory. Kiev's shadow operations just lost a major artery. Kharkovo airfield is located in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. It's a small airfield, but critical for the Ukrainian Air Force. The airfield also reportedly houses AN-2 jets. This latest strike underscores how Moscow is not just retaliating against Ukrainian drone attacks, it is hunting down Ukraine's critical war infrastructure with increasing accuracy.
Ça, la désinvolture. Voilà, c'est pas mal.